Hi, everyone. So as promised, I'm going to give you 4 or 5 brief videos on the steps to complete the presentation part of this lab and next. I'm going to start with the very basics of setting up a LaTeX file and getting it situated in a directory so that you can find it. And then I'm going to have another video where I'll run the first few lines of code and copy that from the console in R to a LaTeX file using the verbatim environment in LaTeX. And that'll be just raw, so you don't have to do any extra presentation on that, except for a couple of very minor edits. The next one may take a little longer. It will be on running the plots and then exporting them from R and then presenting them in LaTeX. And so there's a little bit more editing in LaTeX, and there's a little bit to do in R because I'm also in that one going to talk a little bit about how I adapted code from one of the labs to a data set that I'm working with. And I'm doing that as an example. Which I'll do that in more detail later as well, but it's just an example of how you take code and adapt it to your own use. Next, the next presentation I'll run some tables that will be not exactly like the ones you're running in lab, but they're similar, and I'll export them with Stargazer and put them in LaTeX, and then possibly in that presentation, or maybe in a separate one, I will do a little bit of editing in LaTeX with those tables and then compiling it into a PDF. I want to keep these under 15 minutes each, under 10 if possible, so I may split that in half. But this is the first one, and it shouldn't be too long because I'm just going to set up the LaTeX file. The first thing that I'm going to do is get rid of this funny Zoom video where you get to see my face a zillion times and show you where I'm going to do it. So, well, I can't minimize it, but I think I can move it to the other screen. There we go. So this is my directory structure. I have my documents organized. The more stuff you get, the more important it is to really figure out a way to organize things in folders and subfolders so that you don't just have everything out in the root directory where you have a hard time finding it. And that's especially true as you get a lot of data. I'm going to do everything in the directory for this course that I've set up, that's the GitHub directory, because that way I'll be able to share it with you. So I'm drilling down to my directory here. This is where you'll find it. This out here is mine, so you won't see this, but you should have a directory like this that's your directory for this course, and there will be a subfolder called demonstration. And I use the phrase directory is the older phrase. A lot of times they're called folders now, and it's because we see these folder icons. But in terms of the actual, the way the computer views it, it's a directory on a disk drive. So if I say directory or folder, they mean the same thing. So it'll be under the demonstration and then under presentation. So that's what I'm doing here. That's the R script that I'm using. I don't have the LaTeX set up. But I wanted you to see where I'm setting it up. So the first thing that I'm going to do is set up the LaTeX file. And I guess I might as well show you. The thing I did was I have TexStudio pinned to my taskbar, but you may also find that over here in the start menu. Somewhere under TexStudio, hopefully. Well, I don't have it under there. So see, things are surprising, but you can also do the thing where you search for TexStudio and find it that way, and it's not working for me. Yeah, so However you open TexStudio, open it. Like I said, I have my icon pulled down here and pinned to the taskbar because I use this thing literally every day. I do all my writing in TexStudio, and even if all I'm doing is writing well, the exception is very, very small text, which I do in just Notepad. So like notes to myself. So the first thing you want to do is create a new file. You don't want to use new because that gives you a blank file, and I'll just show you what that looks like. It has absolutely nothing, which means it has none of the stuff that LaTeX needs in order to be able to compile. So I can do a lot of typing, and then when I try to compile it, it has no idea what to do. It just reads that as garbage. I mean, it is garbage, but it doesn't even read it as text because it doesn't know what to do with it. So I'm going to close that, and I'm not going to save it because it's garbage. You need to start, unless you actually want to put in all the header information by hand, you want to start from a template. And I'm going to use this template that's just my general article template that I tend to use for everything. There's also this stats homework template. You can use that as well. I think that copies of both of these are in the first semester GitHub. And if you want any of these other templates, I can give them to you. So I start with this template, and you can see it's got a lot of things already filled in. It's got all of the packages that I use, and a lot of these won't be useful today. Some of them may not be useful to you at all. One of the packages that I have is a thing that fills in some of the metadata for the PDF file, so that if someone wants to do that thing where you hover over the PDF file and it tells you something about it, if I put in the title and the subject and keywords, it's got my name pre-filled in. So if you use this, you're going to want to change that. But I can fill all those things in, and somebody, if they're later hovering over that file with their mouse, it'll pop up with things like the title and the subject and keywords. Some of the other things that I have won't be useful. Most of what you need to do starts after document, but there are a few things to fill in that are ahead of document, and specifically they have to do with the title page. So I'm going to title this sample lab presentation lab 9. It's not actually lab 9. I'm going to use my own data from a project that I work on. So then the document begins here. I have this set up where it produces a heading on each page. The left /L head is the left header, /C head is the center header, and /R head is the right header. So I'm going to do my name and lab 9 sample as the center header, and then the project is this class, and I can never remember which it is, so I'm going to call it methods 2. I can never remember the I think it's POLS, actually I can, it's POLS6481. And I just made an error that would cause problems. You may not have noticed, but I deleted that closing bracket, and so I've got to fix that, or else this won't compile. So I'm going to go ahead and compile it. If you're using TexStudio, you're going to compile it the same way, which is to click these double green arrows, and it produced, so far all we have is a title page, but it is set up. That was our goal. The LaTeX file is set up. The only thing that is left to do is I need to save it somewhere. And when I save it, I will give it a title. I don't want to save it there. That's where I was working on my dissertation prospectus. So I want to get back out to my documents folder where I have my R Studios project. And again, this will be different for you, but I would suggest having it organized. So I'm going to save it back under the lab, under this presentation, and I'm going to call it sample LaTeX file. And for now, it's just a file with a, so I'm going to actually call this sample LaTeX file 1, and I won't change it. Later, when I do work All of the other work that I do, I'm going to put in sample LaTeX file 2. The reason being that sample LaTeX file 1 right now is nothing but the title page with my name on it. So it's sort of a blank template that you can look at for a sample. I want to leave it that way, and then I'll do all the actual work in this file 2. And by the time I'm done with it, we'll have the complete project done. So that is all there is to that. And now I'm going to try to stop recording.